Okay, students. So, in last class, we have talked about the types of computer memories. So, in this class, we will talk about the memory hierarchy. That means how we can categorize memory according to their speed and storage capacity. So, here you can see a diagram of in the form of pyramid. So, when we go from top to bottom, then the capacity or storage capacity, you can say, it increases from top to bottom. And when we talk about the speed, then it increases from bottom to top. So if we talk about the cache memory, it is the fastest memory, and then after that speed decreases. Okay, from top to bottom speed decreases. Then RAM is slower than the cache memory, and then hard disk is much more slower than the RAM, and then CD, DVD came, and Blu-ray disc. And if we talk about the storage, then storage increases from top to bottom. Cache memory is limited, then ROM is as compared to cache, it is large, and hard disk is having more storage, and then CD, DVD is having more storage, and then Blu-ray disc it is also having more storage. So here you can see the diagram. The storage capacity increases from top to bottom, and speed of memory is increases from bottom to top. Okay, in exams also this question came that or in exercise also you will find this question: explain von Neumann computer. So as I told you earlier also that von Neumann he has contributed lot in terms of computers. So he has given the concept of software, and Von Neumann also initiated the practice of storing data and instructions in binary code in the computer's memory. So we can say he has only initiated the use of memory. So memory is very important part of computer. So after the invention of first any computer in 1946, the computer technology tremendously changed and improved at very fast pace. And ADVAC, that is electronic discrete variable automatic computers, was the first stored program computers that were developed in 1952. So here you can see the von Neumann computer. It uses a processor, channel means communication way, and it uses the concept of storage that includes program as well as data. And in the below diagram you can see that storage memory is known as storage. So he has given the concept of storage, and today's computer, they are based on this concept of storage also. Okay, so he has contributed a lot in the field of computers. Next, let's talk about the components of computer. We have already seen the components like input, processing, and output, but we have not talked about the registers. That is also a part of storage. So in this video, I will give you the introduction of registers also. So memory registers means it is a temporary unit of memory in the CPU, and that these received data and information, then this data and information is held in the registers temporarily for as per the requirement. Okay, we can say registers can offer different sizes: 16-bit, 22-bit. That means you can say it is a small storage area for temporary. You can say it keeps the buffer. Okay, and each register inside the CPU has a specific function. There are different types of registers in computer, or you can say it is just a component that stores the data for a temporary time. Okay, and like storing data, storing an instruction, storing address of a particular memory location, etc. The user register can be used by an assembly language for storing operands. Operands means symbols, like A plus B, then A and B are the operands and operation is plus. Okay, intermediate results, accumulator, these are the main registers in the arithmetic logical unit. These registers are present in ALU and contain one of the operand of an operation to be performed in ALU. So you, in short, you can say that memory registers are the temporary unit of memory in the CPU for storing data for a period of time. Okay, so this is about the registers. Now we will see the interconnection between functional component of a computer, that is how they are communicating and by which means they are communicating. So as we all know that computer consists of input unit that takes input, CPU that processes the data, and the output unit that produces output. So input, CPU, and output, these all devices communicate with each other through a common bus. Bus means you can say it is a set of conducting wires through which communication or transfer of signal take place. So we can say a bus is a transmission path or over which data or information in a form of electrical signals is passed from one component to another in a computer. So maybe if you have seen inside the CPU, then you will see that on that particular motherboard chip you will find lines are there that are made with fabrication, etc. So these lines are known as buses. They are set of conducting wires through which electrical signals are passed. Okay, so bus can be of three types. Okay, so the buses are categorized into three types: address bus, data bus, and control bus. The work of address bus is to carry the address location of a data or instruction. All the data in the computer are stored at some location or address. So the working of address bus is to check the address location of that particular data or instruction. Okay, next is data bus. Data bus carries the data from one component to another component, and the control bus carries the control signal. Okay, and system bus is also a type of bus that is common communication path that carries signals to or from CPU to the main memory and input output devices. So this is about the buses, and buses play a very important role in computer. Okay, so this diagram, it shows the common bus architecture. Here you can see that the system bus is the node between the controller and the main memory, ALU and CPU and ALU. Okay, so here you can see the diagram. The input output devices communicate with the system bus through the controller circuit, and this controller circuit helps to manage various input output devices attached to the computer. Okay, now let's talk about the concept of booting. So booting is nothing but how the computer start. So initially when we turn on the computer or switch on the computer, you will see that it takes a lot of time in starting or loading the operating system. So that is known as BIOS, basic input output system. So the process of starting computer is also known as booting, and booting process is of two types. We can categorize this booting in two types, that is cold booting and warm booting. Okay, cold booting means when the system starts from initial state, that is when we are starting a computer, when it is switched off. Okay, so that is, it is switched on, we called it cold booting or hard booting. Okay, when the user presses the button, the instructions are read from the ROM to initiate the booting process. So such type of booting is known as cold booting. Warm booting means when we restart a computer or when we reset button is pressed, we call it warm booting or soft booting. So hard booting or cold booting is same, and soft booting and warm booting is same. So the system does not starts from initial state, and so all diagnostic tests need not to be carried out in this case, and these there are chances of data loss and system damage as the data might not have been stored properly. In case of warm boot, there can be chances of data loss, and cold booting means from the basic state, initial state, we are starting a computer. So this is about the concept of booting. Next we will talk about the other input output devices.